Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with another awesomely awesome figure review. Today we are going over the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Robin Earth -22, or as I like to call them, the Groblins. This is part of the collect to build Merciless, which is another Dark Nights metal character, which I'm excited for. But I really do not want to go out of my way to get all the figures because I'm picky that way. But then again, we shall see. Because a lot of these newer figures have been kicking butt. Now, if you want to pick this up, I have not seen it in stores yet. I would say first and foremost, check with your local comic shop to see if they can order it for you. If not, this was on pre-order on Amazon. I'm sure it's released now. And the one thing I didn't think of, and I should have, but it is what it is if you pre-ordered 3 Robins, you got all the different heads. So one has like the grin like that, one has an open mouth, and I can't remember what the other one is. But yeah, you would get all 3 variants, which would have been really cool, but c'est la vie. It's neither here nor there. As you see, we got some cool stuff in here we'll get to in a moment. You see that awesome DC Multiverse logo there. You see the collect to build Merciless there, which looks really awesome. Come around to the top. I love that it actually has the Dark Nights metal logo. That is awesome, and it holds true. Not on this side, you can kind of see here, it just says Robin Earth -22. Come around to the back. This is the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs, which is Teen Titans number 12, which is a hot book, very hard to get, but if you can find it, definitely grab it. Down here you see the figures from the wave that you want to pick up, so I'll make sure to get close up so you guys can see which ones you want to get. Come around to this side, and this is what I was talking about. It shows, again, if it's on the peg, you'll know what you're getting. But I love that it actually puts Dark Nights metal. I wish they would have actually put it like in a chromium type thing. That would have been so awesome, but oh well. You come back around here to the front, the figure, bottom, legal, who cares? But what we do care about, is this Groblin awesome or not? I already think so, but hey, why don't we just go ahead and crack this bad boy open and get a closer look and see what y'all think. And here's the Robins, or as I like to call them, the Groblins or the Roblins, out of the packaging, and this is all 3 face variants. And these were a pain to track down. I got one on Amazon, got one at Target, and then I got one from my buddy Isaac, so appreciate you hooking me up with that, brother, because it's nice to at least have all 3. And yeah, it sucks when you have to buy 3 different figures, but when you put them on the stand together, and you just see the horrific face sculpts, you can't help but say, yeah, I want this on my stand. Because you got a crooked mouth one, you got kind of a blood dripping one, and then you kind of got that creepy grin one. So when they attack your characters, you know, they're going to go, crow, crow, crow. And if you haven't read the Dark Nights metal, check it out. That was a good arc. I mean, a lot of people are saying, it was an event. Yeah, it was an event, but it was a fun event. I was not bored when I read it. And these figures, just seeing tangible versions of them here up on the stand, heck yeah. So speaking of which, why don't we go ahead and get them off this spinner and kind of look at what these creepy little dudes have to offer in terms of collectability. So some backstory on these horrific looking Robins is their first appearance, I believe, is Dark Nights Metal number 1. If that's wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments below. So on Earth -22, after the Batman on that Earth is infected by the Joker toxin and he becomes the Batman Who Laughs, he first takes his initial family and turns them into these Roblins or Groblins or Roblins, whatever they're called. And yeah, it's just a very twisted look of what these characters are supposed to be. And from what I understand is the only thing these Robins can now say, because their intelligence is kind of hindered, is crow, which is when Batman wants them to halt, he responds with the phrase, bar. Now you're kind of wondering, what does that mean? So this is a reference to the crowbar that the Joker used to kill Jason Todd back in the Death of the Family. And so that was kind of their way of showing more of this twisted universe. Now you get more of a look at the Robins in Teen Titans number 12, which we have gone over, so I'll make sure to leave a little link up here somewhere so you guys can click it, check it out. Speaking of which, that's kind of their story in a nutshell. The other things you kind of want to read up on is the Batman Superman and the Year of the Villain, The Infected. Those are story arcs that I personally did not dig. The one before them that was really worth reading was the Batman Who Laughs, the standalone story, because that kind of builds up the other arcs. But that series in and of itself was just horrifying. And you see how the Grim Knight utilizes these Robins and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's some really good reading. And then when you go into the death metal, make sure to read the one that's called The Robin King. That shows how the Batman Who Laughs goes across all the different dimensions and uses different Robins. So yeah, these guys, they don't really have a choice, and it's just tragic in that regard. Now, let's go ahead, with that said, look at the accessories that these characters come with. So as you can see here on the box, I'm so glad that they finally kind of learned, because as I've mentioned in past reviews, the box is how it's hard to move your hands around in there to cut things out. This one opens up. It's not taped, it's not sealed, so it opens up like butterfly wings, and so you're able to actually get in there and cut the things out. And I was actually able to finally cut the trading card out with no problem. So it's just like, oh, thank God. So I'll make sure to get a still of the card on the back so you can read it at your convenience. And yeah, so this right here is the cover of Teen Titans number 12. Now, the other things that it comes with, just like with every other DC characters, they come with the stands, which I think is really cool that they have that DC imprint on there. I've got some crap on there. But yeah, I like that. I think that's nice and sleek on each character. It really helps, especially if you just want to pose them. So I really like that. The other thing that these Robins come with is a length of chain, because all these Robins are controlled by the Batman Who Laughs. And so he takes this and, you know, he just leads them around like pets, which is really tragic and really twisted, but a really cool idea. Now, as you can see, this one's not too long. So if you guys want more chain, what I do is I went to Walmart and went to the craft section, and I just found more of it. And as you can see, I got a nice big length of chain. So it really helps. If you go back and look at my Batman Who Laughs review, you can see how I wrapped this thing around him, and it just looked twisted and awesome. So those are your two options, because, you know, you kind of look at the one that came with them, and it's just sort of like, womp womp. You know, it could have been longer. It's kind of cheap. But anyway, so the way you put this on them, let's go ahead and grab a Robin here, is he has this little neck piece. There's the focus. And you have to play with it a lot, so it kind of comes forward, like so. But what makes it a pain in the butt, I don't know if I can do this while I'm recording, but I'll do my best for you guys, is you have to kind of get it, pull this out. I know my hands are in the way, I apologize, but this, honestly, is a pain to do. That's why if I put it in, I leave it in. What I would highly suggest doing is heating your figure up first, because then this thing becomes like a noodle and it comes out real easy. Trying to do it while it's more solidified is kind of a pain, as you can see. Yeah, it's not going to go on, screw it. But yeah, if you heat this part up, it comes out accordion style, and it's just a whole heck of a lot easier to get that chain in there. So, for example, this Robin already has one on there. Makes this easier. And it stays in there relatively well. You know, once after it's heated up and you let it cool down, it's in there. You see I'm tugging on it, and no real problem. Just always be careful. So, yeah, word of advice is always make sure to warm up your figures. Now, after the accessories, let's talk about the head sculpt. So why do I have 3 Robins? So when they released this line, they released 3 variant Robins. So when you buy them, you know, it's part of the Merciless Build-A-Figure wave. Each figure comes with the same piece, which is the Merciless chest, so don't worry if you don't want to get all 3. You're not missing a Build-A-Figure piece there. But the head sculpts on each are nice. Like, I like this one because he has the very haunted eyes, like he's ready to just be like, I'm gonna eat you! And then, you know, he has that twisted Joker mouth. I know, you know, make sure to make fun of me each time I say twisted, but that's just one of my favorite words here. And I like those nasty grinded teeth, and you actually get a little bit of like blood stain on this one, like he's actually bit someone. You know, you got the Chelsea grin going on, and I like the line work on this one because you can see where his face is so contorted up that his cheekbones are so high. So that's one of my favorite ones, you know, and you get those creepy little like imp or demon ears to show that this is not your typical Robin. So this one is a cool head sculpt, and the one that we were just messing with, you kind of get the same design, but this one's just a grin. And again, each time you like photograph these guys, you just kind of like each one because each emotion brings a different feeling to the table. So like, you know, you got the grin, and then you kind of have another open mouth, but it's more contorted. So yeah, that's why you want to get all three head sculpts, because it's just really neat. I think it's like a what do you call it? A very macabre Brady Bunch. But yeah, all three all three head sculpts I think are really nice, and that's why I went ahead and broke down and got all of them for that reason, so that when I do photography, I have different options. So that's really cool, but these figures are really hard to find. I would suggest checking out Target, because that's where I found this one. I found this one on Amazon when they first come out. No, this one at Amazon. And then this one right here I got from my buddy Isaac, so I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for this figure. But yeah, those are cool. Now with that said, let's look at the paint apps. So we'll go ahead and put two of these Robins off to the side because they're all the same other than the head sculpts. So as I said, I like that green on the mask, the yellowing on the teeth, and then, you know, it's kind of a little bit of the blood drench on the grin. Man, it gives you chills. It kind of makes you a little afraid to want to hold it. You know what I'm saying? But I like it. I like horror films, so that's one of the reasons why I liked Metals, because that just the creepiness of it. And you know, they got the little bit of the green dry brush going in the black, so that's kind of neat. It kind of gives that Joker look, but still has that Robin effect. And then of course this is the old what do you call it? Probably gold to silver age looking Robin outfit. You know, with the circus shorts and the I forget what this is called. It's not a jerkin, whatever it's called. But yeah, it works really well. I like the gloves, and I like the use of the scaling on the shorts. I think that looks really cool. The yellow, of course, the Robin, and then of course his little buttons that he buttons up. See how they're just slightly askew to just show that this Robin's not completely there. And I like how everything's stitched, so it's sort of like this Frankenstein monster look to it. So that's a really neat idea. And then of course you got the pixie boots, which I like how they really exaggerated them and folded them over like that instead of just making them look like booties or whatever. And then the skin, that's that gray Joker pale white skin. You know, they put a little bit of that, you know, it's white with the gray on there. The ears, oh, it's just terrifying. And that gray just goes all the way down the skin, and then you kind of get like this monsterish sort of, you know, like rotting look on his legs, and where he, you know, you got some damage here, and they throw in a little bit of the black wash so it exaggerates it. Yeah, that's just a really cool idea all around. I like the banged upness of the cape to show that this Robin is no longer, you know, either Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or Tim Drake or Damian Wayne. They all look the same, and they're all there. And that's why I like how this cape is just tattered and torn, and you know, the line work on here and how it reflects in the light, that looks really good. The back, I like that they made sure that they didn't stop, you know, they didn't make sure to stop anything other than here. You kind of get a little bit of a gradation where you see the gray here and then it stops, but that's okay. It doesn't take away too much. But yeah, the paint apps overall on these Robins are creepy, horrific, and all around just awesome. The most frustrating thing about the Robins, and the cool thing about them, is the articulation. And what I mean, we'll get into it as we start doing this. So let's start with the head. So each Robin can look down about that much and look up about that much. Not too bad, but it could be better. And you know, you got the attitude in the head, can spin that way, arms go up that much, and then of course spin up, come out that much. They do spin 360 with no problem, which here this part is independent of this part, so you have to kind of work them together. So that's one of the frustrating things. He does have an upper biceps swivel, double jointed elbows, thankfully. The wrists can spin 360. The other frustrating part is he doesn't really, I mean, he kind of does have a ball joint, but because of his gloves, as you can see it there, it doesn't really work all that much. So yeah, of course the ball joints and all these McFarlane figures are always frustrating. So that's just kind of, you know what I mean? He can spin. He doesn't have much of a torso spin. He can go about that much and about that much. And again, guys, just a word of advice. Always, first and foremost, warm up your figures before you start trying to do anything with them, because you do run the risk of busting them. I warmed up all 3 of these Robins before this review to make sure that I wouldn't have to sit here and watch them snap on camera, because that would be heartbreaking. And then the other thing I like about this Robin is he does have a decent ab crunch, so he can go down that much and back that much. So that's cool. Now, here's where things kind of get a little aggravating. So these lifted up because I warmed it up. Reason being is because if you want to try to get him into a crouching pose, these hinder. So you can kind of get it to pose up that much, and that's as far as I can get it to go. But these shorts are probably the most frustrating thing, so you can't really get a good crouching. And the balance on them, you really have to be patient, because yeah, trying to get them to balance for whatever reason is one of the most frustrating things about this Robin. So he can kick out that much that way and about that much that way. So as you can see, those shorts are really much a hindrance. He does have double jointed knees, so you have that option. He can spin at the thigh, and then with the ball joint, that does, as you can see, the ball pivot there, it does tend to move around, so you have to kind of tinker with it, but you can kind of get it to move around. Can go up that much, can go down that much, and then of course you got the good little pivots on the feet, so that help if you can, you know, magically get the pivot to work. So that's the articulation in a nutshell. Not too bad, but again, trying to get them to crouch is something of a chore because of the shorts. You're just like, brrr. But if you heat them up, and if you know what you're doing, because if you don't do it, because you do run the risk of melting or screwing it up. So if you don't do it. I took the chance and I've gotten better at it, thankfully. So that's what I meant by there's hit and miss with the articulation. It's got some good stuff and some bad stuff. So here's all the Robins in fancy little poses for you guys. See, once you warm them up and kind of start messing with the feet, you can kind of get different looks. That's about as far as I can get the Groblins, as I like to call them, to crouch. Anymore, I mean, if you guys can, I'd love to see your photography pieces on them, because that's as far as I can get him as down as I can. And as you can see, they scale really well against their master, the Batman Who Laughs, there in the back. And then here's the 2 characters that kind of spawned all this. This is the Jim Lee series GameStop exclusive cel-shaded Batman. This is the McFarlane Toys Arkham Asylum Joker, and both these figures are awesome. I particularly really love this one. If you guys haven't picked that one up, oh yeah. I mean, I know it's from the video game, but that's probably one of the closest comic accurate Jokers I've seen in a while, and I just love the way that one looks. I've done a review on him, so there'll be a link somewhere up here. And like I said, I've already done a review on the Batman Who Laughs, and I had the link up later, so you can check it out after you've watched this video. And if you bring the Batman Who Laughs forward, which I don't want to move everything, he does scale very well with both of these figures. They're about 7 inches here. I think he's about 6.5. Nonetheless, even though he's an older figure, it looks great. And because these guys are supposed to be little, you know, crow Groblins, I like that they made them a lot smaller. I think they're maybe like 5 inches or so. I'm not sure. I don't really measure the figures because I don't want to get tape measure and do all that work. But yeah, these are going to look great, whether if you just want to pose them on a shelf, if you're just a collector, or if you're like me and you like to do photography and you want to put these characters up against each other. They look really, really great. So please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Overall, I think these figures are absolutely beautifully sculpted and horrific as you're just looking at them. I enjoy each face sculpt, but then again, I may be biased because I'm a huge horror film fan. So just kind of having these creepy figures like this, it's kind of like right up my alley. But those of you that have read Dark Nights Metal or like horror figures, these Roblins, whatever you want to call them, are definitely up your alley. The only things, as I've said, that really irk my gurk is they're hard to stand. The only way I was really finally to get them to stand like this is I had to warm them up over and over, especially for crouching positions, because the shorts on these things are frustrating. So that's just a heads up to anyone who wants to buy these. But if you can get past that, definitely worth picking up. And if you want to pick them up, as I said, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if they have them in stock. If not, then you can go the alternate routes that I've mentioned in all my reviews. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Robin bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel. And we love to hear your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down below in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. And thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.